Documentary was released via Netflix, Untold. It was Connor Stalions' story. It was quite a buzz around the internet this morning. It's an hour and 27 minutes long, so we didn't get a chance to watch the entire thing as we're piecing together this morning's shows, but clips were coming out. And I think the reaction that I've seen thus far, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you were Harbaugh's a piece of shit, he definitely knew type of person before this documentary, it solidified it. Seemingly, this is the reaction that we're reading on the internet. Yep. And if you think Harbaugh did not know and Connor Stalions was a rogue agent, you feel that way even more after watching it.
For sure.
Correct. I will say, as somebody who has listened to Harbaugh speak about this entire process and watch how he reacted to this entire process and how he's continued to maintain his innocence about not knowing what was taking place and how it was taking place, I don't think Harbaugh knew. I have not watched the hour and 27. I will do that this evening, so I might come in tomorrow with a different story. But from the clips that I have seen, this Connor Stalions guy was committed to the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, that's one word.
I mean, what are you saying?
I mean, he was committed, but here's some other...
Psychopath? Obsessive?
Obsessive? Yeah. I mean, but hey, that's what the greatest are, right? That's what it takes. Tom, MJ, Tiger, we all...
Stallions. Of course, you got to be obsessed with your craft, which Connor Stalions certainly was. There's one particular clip that I think kind of showcases why Connor Stalions' name was mentioned, brought up, and became a massive story. And it took place while he was getting interviewed by the NCAA, I believe, with his lawyers sitting right next to him. It's a longer scene, but here's the part that basically says, yes, I did what everybody kind of was saying that I did.
Connor, did you ever direct anyone or instruct anyone to attend a college football game in which Michigan was not playing?
No, I don't ever recall directing someone to go to a game.
Have you ever purchased tickets for someone to attend a college football game in which Michigan was not playing?
Yeah, I've purchased tickets to many games. College football, obviously Michigan's playing, so I don't have time to go to another game, but I either resell them or if a friend asks for a ticket, then I transfer it to him or her.
Okay. And would any of those tickets that you purchased that you would then transfer to a friend or a family member, did any of the individuals who you purchased a ticket for attend a game that Michigan was not competing in?
Checklist.
And film or record the opponent's signal callers?
So to my understanding, there are some people who attended games using tickets that I purchased and recorded parts of those games.
It's my understanding.
And who are the individuals that recorded parts of the games that were sitting in seats that you purchased?
I don't recall exactly who. I've purchased tickets to a lot of games.
How do you know they were recording parts of the game then?
Because sometimes I would receive film from them.
I've had a friend send me film, and it's kind of like when your aunt gets you a Christmas present that you already have.
Sure.
You're not going to be rude and be like, oh, I already have this, I don't need it. You know, just, oh, thanks, appreciate it. You know, feel like they're helping out or whatever when I already have the signals. I already memorized the signals. I mean, so just say thanks, whatever, you know.
I mean, all of it is very interesting. He was very open in it all, and obviously that recording was done from the research that the NCAA was gathering while they were doing what they were trying to do and figure out what the punishment's going to be. And obviously we've heard and been told by the authority that's probably going to be a massive financial litigation through it all. But if you listen to him speak there, you can tell he was trying to out-lawyer the lawyers, to my understanding. And then he said, yes, they have sent me film and yada, yada, yada. And you would think to yourself, well, somebody was telling him to do this, right? It's like, not necessarily. Here's another clip from this thing. This guy was obsessed with being the greatest sign decipherer of all time. And you say, why do you know, or how do you know he's obsessed with it? Listen to what this fucking guy would do. I mean, this guy wanted to be the greatest sign decipherer, is what he would describe. And I believe his obsession with that led him to I think he got trapped into, I'm the greatest of all time.
Need to do this.
Listen to this clip and watch what he would actually do. Thousands of signs he said he would do this to.
The first thing that I evolved that made me good at deciphering signals was my game day sheet. I took a couple weekends. I found a white wall as the background, and I wore dark clothes to contrast.
Smart.
I propped my phone up and just recorded myself doing every possible signal I could ever imagine. Any signal I've ever seen, any signal that we've done, any signal any other team's done, and any variation of any signal. So I recorded myself doing probably 2,000 to 3,000 signals. When I was done, I uploaded each photo into my sheet where it belonged. I developed my own database, which is the next evolution of my game day sheet. Instead of memorizing words, I was memorizing pictures. And I would say that is the #1 reason why I became as good as I did at deciphering signals.
You're talking about thousands of signals he would piece together on his game day board. Instead of, play calls or words, he would just put, obviously, the signs. So then he's watching across the thing. He knows exactly what it is. He's quite a weapon all of a sudden for the Michigan Wolverines as somebody who was in military as opposed to growing up playing in football and coaching in football. And I think what you're hearing in the reaction from everybody is, obviously, this guy was really obsessed with this.
Yeah, above and beyond.
I mean, he was committed to this more than anybody else on earth. But let's listen to Coach T. Mitch here, defensive coordinator for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And if you do recall, he's the one that freestyled in front of the team, and they all said, yeah, coach, in the middle of it, had them all bought in. Here's what he had to say about sign stealing. Once again, remember, dog on the football field as a player, now defensive coordinator in college.
Oh, a lot. Like, it's so funny. You'll be shocked. During the week, I know offense all around the country. They're going to get the TV copy, and they looking at the signals. Yeah, just one person. That's your only job. Look at the signals. And then, boom, we can't get the defensive signals. Okay, well, let's see what the defensive players are signaling. Then they'll try to get it that way. So they got different ways. I remember we played Louisville, and he was really good. And I saw the TV copy, and I could just see the whole time he's just like this, just watching. And then at halftime, they got the signals. So we played him next year. I was at UCF. We played him that next year, and I got his contact, and I called him. Like, hey, man, I need to. And he sent me the whole thing. And he said, this is what we had. And it was like 80% correct. So we had to change our signals because they just pass it around. So they'll just send it to the next. So we played SMU and Rhett Lashley to them, and they had the same signals. I wasn't mad that he sent it around. I would have been mad if we didn't change it. So it's huge, like just signals, and it's perfectly legal. I know teams right now that have 2 guys on the field because you usually have them in the box. So all the times you see a lot of these teams behind the actual team, they pull out these big curtains behind it. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't be doing it. 80% of the teams in America, when they signal, they pull out the big curtain behind so the guys in the press box can't get them. Well, they done smarten up. They done put them on the field. So they got 2 guys, and they just sit here and try to get it. So you got to have ways of hiding your signals, So you can always know, like, when a play happens, you go, hey, man, they got our signals. Because it's just like a perfect play. You just know. All over college football. So that's not, it's nothing new. It's not one of those deals where it's like, unethical or something like that. Like, they do it. If you're crazy enough to keep the same signals, that's on you.
That's Coach T. Will. I call it T. Mitch. That's 100% on me. But Coach T. Will basically breaking down, I think, what every former player had to say about the sign stealing. I think why the Connor Stalions thing happened is because the advanced scouting rule that was in place. And I think if you were to watch this untold entirely, he's saying that he exploited the rules. Like, I wasn't at the game. There was no coaches at the game. It was other people. Were they family friends? So I didn't know some of the people that were there. But sign stealing has been happening since the beginning. The conversation now from the coach to the quarterback and the ability to call into play to the Mike linebacker, they're obviously still going to use signs. But this entire thing of signal stealing is a weapon if you have a guy that's very good good at it on your team. And Connor Stalions might have been the guy who was considered the greatest of all time, which leads me to saying that Harbaugh could literally not know that he was paying people or buying tickets and sending people going forward. Harbaugh could have definitely thought to himself, though, I got a good sign stealer on my sideline because every team has been looking for those since signs have been given in any sport, seemingly.
Yeah, like Coach said, like Coach T. Will said, you got to change them. And at the same time, this is going to be quad. It's like, these are going to be seams. Like, it's certain things. Brady had a signal he would go like this, and that meant the outside receivers going up, the slot receivers breaking out. And he did it for 20 years. So, like, you can have signals, but you got to execute. Like, I think somebody, it's a tip when Trent Williams and it's a runners. When it's a pass, you got to execute. So, like, we would have – I've never been on a team where we didn't have a guy who gave us signals, who gave us offensive signals. Hey, this is what – they get it from the TV copy. They'll get it from across the field. Sometimes you'll have 3 guys doing the signals and 1 guy is the real guy. The other 2 are just smoke screen. So it's always, it's gamesmanship. It's going on week in and week out. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. But at the end of the day, you got to execute. We played Peyton Manning the first time he came back here. Obviously, Reggie had spent a bunch of time with him. And these quarterbacks, Aaron, Peyton, Drew, Tom, all these guys, they carry a lot of that same shit over. And they're more concerned about their guys being on the same page having the signal, so they're not going to out-trick themselves. Defense, you can have all you want. Reggie will tell us this, that, and the third, but, hey, don't get too caught up on this shit because he'll go and change it and make sure you hear him call it and you're like, hey, this is coming. And then they'll have some other option perfectly drawn up. So it's always been a part of the game. It is literally people's job to do it. Usually it's a quality control guy or whoever, what do they call the grad GAs on the college level. So it's always somebody. But at the end of the day, you got to execute. You got to get it done between downs. And more importantly, you got to be on the same page with your guys that we're doing what we need to be doing in quads coverage or in cover 2 or in cover 3, whatever that is.
The way the story was rolled out was as if it was out of a novel in a movie. And then we're listening to it. It kind of is. And I think at Connor Stalions' head, he was beating a rule with the advanced scouting. I wasn't telling it. If they sent it to me, they sent it to me. If I saw it, I saw it. And then he'd be able to put together a signed board for who they're playing against. I mean, it's like all those things that it feels like you want too far. Yeah, you just went to, we're all trying to do it. Yeah. But what you just went, you took advantage. And I think Connor Stalions said, is that my fault? Is that your fault? Who's saying where the line is like what Connor Stalions' question is, because if the rule says that I can't go or that coaches can't go, it doesn't say shit about somebody I meet on the internet that I just got tickets for. And if they want to happen to record some stuff and send it to me, even though I didn't tell them that, right? Ask the lawyer. I didn't say that, to my understanding, right? Yep. Okay, I did that. Very fascinating, this whole situation. I'll be intrigued to see what the NCAA does with the punishment, because you potentially open a Pandora's box for people to go back about the signed stuff, especially with what Coach T. Will just said right there.
And we saw Michigan play football last year.
Yeah.
Like, boots on the ground. We saw them, I think, a couple games. We see Arkansas. What was their record? And everybody's doing it, but you got to go out there and execute. You got to have the players. You got to have the scheme. Everybody's doing it. And Connor definitely found some loopholes, and he went a little maybe too far. But it will be. It was interesting on my ex at least. It was like people were split right down the middle. Oh, Harbaugh definitely knew. Harbaugh had no idea. So I'm interested to see once I watch the hour.
Connor Stalions got game ball against the Hawks.
He did, and it kind of just, reinforced my beliefs that, we were cheated, obviously. He was no, but it really, like we've talked about this. It's a perfect example just of, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Because if he would have just continued to kind of do it how everyone else is doing it, I'm sure, then whatever, you maybe get a slap on a wrist. But the smoke and gun really, or when I feel like when it kind of got to be like a massive deal is when they had that picture of him, dressed up on the Central Michigan sideline. It's like, okay, well, if he's doing stuff like this, maybe that is, he's not just having one of his buddies record signals at a different game. It's like this dude who is a staffer for Michigan is on a different university's sideline, what the hell is he doing there?
Yeah.
I feel like that's when it was really like, okay, something needs to be done about this.
And
guy.
also, and we said this last year during the coverage of it all, and our show was used a lot in that documentary. I didn't know that was coming. So that's why we ran their shit too without asking.
Yep.
So, we can. Yeah.
Fair play.
Fair play. Good on you. And I think we might have Maverick Carter, who's one of the executive producers on it, on this week at some point to chit chat a little bit more about the entirety of the story. But it became the thing that took over college talk. And it's like, even if Harbaugh didn't know, they reaped the benefit of it.
Yeah.
They certainly reaped the benefit of everything that was happening, which is why the punishment is going to have to happen at some point and did happen at time. But for their team not to blink after all that, imagine if they were able to continue to know everybody's signals. Did they have a backup signal guy? Because every other team they were playing against going forward certainly had people trying to decipher signals. Did Michigan have no signal people because they weren't allowed as they went on to win? It's almost like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Was it more impressive now that they weren't able to do anything? We shall see.